Property management is
Yeah.
literally the hardest profession in the world. It is a very thankless job. Every now and then, yes, we do get, praises from clients,
Yeah.
but you're either dealing with an upset tenant or an upset landlord, and you're the middle person trying to solve everything.
100%. And it's hard, man. Sometimes like you're trying to balance making sure your tenants are happy, because if they're not happy, they're going to give you problems. You're trying to make sure your landlords are happy, because in the end, they're your clients. They're the ones that are paying you. They're the ones that are fronting pretty much all these bills
Yep.
that like the tenants are asking for. So it's literally the ultimate negotiation. I know people say sales is the ultimate negotiation, but man, like property management, dealing with two people who have opposing interests, is literally the hardest thing to do. But I enjoy it. So
So get this.
yeah.
Literally, like 2 weeks ago, I'm doing a showing. It's a duplex, so the upper level is vacant and the basement
Yeah.
is tenant occupied. I show up to the house. There's this big trailer in the parking spot for the upper level.
Yeah.
So I can't actually park my car there. So I send notice to the property management that there's the tenant's clearly parking a trailer there and it needs to be moved. I
Yeah.
go in, I'm doing my showing. Within a few minutes, I hear bang, 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 bang on the
Oh
door.
god.
And the person I'm showing the unit to, it's a older woman,
Yeah.
and she literally ducked down. She was terrified because it sounded like gunshots going off on the house. And I just, casually opened the door,
Yeah.
and it was the basement tenant. And he was
My
huffing
god.
and puffing, and he honestly, little weasel. He looked like
Yeah.
Dale Gribble, glasses, like the whole thing. And
Yeah.
he's just yelling and swearing and screaming,
Bro,
just going on and on and
I'm
on.
sure your tenants love that, the people that you were doing the showing for.
Oh my! I just looked at her. I'm like, oh yeah, you're not moving.
You're like, you
This
want to
is
just cut the showing short?
exactly. This is a write up. But he didn't stop. He just kept going and
Yeah.
going. He's essentially saying, "How dare you accuse me of parking there without knowing the actual facts?"
Yeah.
You know, it kept going, and I'm honestly thinking this guy's gonna try and like do something. So I'm trying to remain professional,
Yeah.
because I have a client I'm showing the unit to. But at the same time, I'm thinking, who does this guy think he is?
Yeah.
Like, don't step to me like this and talk crazy.
Yeah.
So I follow him outside, and I'm like, hold on, you need to really calm down. And then I kind of lost it, but
Yeah. Yeah.
cooler heads prevail. And he walked away, and it's just I was completely flabbergasted that this guy would lose it off of something so
I know.
minuscule.
It's insane, man. Like the amount of stuff that they get upset about is wild. I had a move out where same thing, it was a duplex. Upper unit was moving out, lower unit was still there. Upper unit was there for about a year, and I remember when I took over, the tenants were like, "Man, thank God, like you've come in, because this landlord's been super tough to deal with." So I'm like, "Yeah, like I got you guys. Like you've been great tenants. You guys have been paying on time, like everything." Um, and I remember, so with move out inspections, you probably know it too. Like landlord usually doesn't show up.
No.
Like it's just us and trying to figure out what needs to be fixed, like whether it needs cleaning, that kind of stuff. So landlord's like, "Nope, I want to come with you." I'm like, "Okay, cool." I was just like, "Just let me do my thing and we'll figure it out." And he uh ended up coming in. These are tenants that he ended up placing. I ended up managing after the fact, so I inherited them. And they were super nice. It was this husband, wife, and a son who was like 2 years old. I show up, we're going through. Landlord starts like looking at the walls and like he's like, "Oh, this wasn't here," and it was like a scratch this big kind of thing. Like it was like nitpicking on everything.
Yeah.
Okay. And the tenants are like, "Dude, like there's like wear and tear." Of course there was wear and tear. Granted, the place wasn't clean, and I was gonna bring up that we probably need to bring cleaners in, and you guys will probably have to cover that cost, because but whatever. But there's a way of saying it. They ended up getting into like a heated argument, and I'm just standing there like, what is going on? Like firstly, you shouldn't have been here. Secondly, these guys are basically like cussing each other out.
Yeah.
And the tenant just, he's like, "You want cleaning fee? Like I'm just gonna transfer you right now." He transfers me $300. I'm like, "Dude, like I don't want it to end like this. Like I've been good to you, you guys have been good to me. Like I don't want it to end like this." And they grabbed their kid. I felt bad because the son is crying, the mom is holding the son, she's crying.
Disaster.
They walk out, and the landlord said something like, uh, "Good pieces of," or
Really?
sorry, I know I'm not supposed to swear, but
We'll edit it in
yeah,
post.
but yeah, and that just set me off, and I'm
Yeah.
just like, dude, like that's not how I do business,
Yeah.
and there's no way that you can talk to anybody like that.
Of
Like,
course.
yeah, like there's it was just bad, and then finally I got him to calm down. We ended up talking to the tenant, and I'm like, dude, like I am gonna keep the $300, but here's your key deposit back.
Yeah.
We do need to get cleaners in, and it's 8 o'clock right now. I'm getting my cleaners. They're gonna come overnight and deal with it. But man, like it was me like calming the tenants down, me going head to head with a landlord
Yeah.
who's my client, and trying to explain to him that like, yo, you have to have some respect. Otherwise, your tenants are gonna end up leaving after a year, and then it's cost to you.
Of course.
Yeah.
You know, one thing that I'll always remember when I first started out in my career managing properties, working for a company,
Hmm.
and we had a bunch of properties in various locations, and I was stationed out in Oakville.
Okay.
Beautiful properties. I had properties that rented, $10,000, $12,000 a month in
Wow.
rent. Beautiful properties
Yeah.
along the lake
Yeah.
shore, Oakville, Mississauga. So like, beautiful properties. So I go there to do a move out inspection,
Hmm.
and the tenant's already gone. So the house is fully vacant. I go, I
Yeah.
do my thing, everything's fine. So the design of the house, right? So you have the house, and it's
Okay.
one of those ones where the driveway is sloped.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Okay.
I parked my car at the top of the driveway, went and did my inspection. Everything was fine.
Yeah.
Now, at the time, this is when I first learned how to drive stick.
Okay.
So this was my first manual car, and I'm learning everything about it.
Oh my
So I
god.
pull up, put the emergency brake on. Everything's fine. And I
Yeah.
go do my inspection. One thing about me is I always forget if I've locked the door. So I do my inspection, I go to the car, and I'm
Yeah.
sitting there and I'm like, did I lock the door? And usually 9 times out of 10, when I go double check, it's locked.
Yeah.
So I go check, I get out of my car and I go and check.
Yeah.
It's not
This
locked.
is at the end of the inspection?
This is at the end of the
Okay.
inspection when I'm
Okay.
ready to leave.
Yeah.
So I check and the door's not locked. So I'm like, okay, good. So I lock the door.
Yeah.
And then I just feel this slight gust of wind. And I turn and look and I see my car
No.
rolling down the driveway. And everything was slow motion. I'm just like, no. And it just went boom right through the garage door.
No way.
Yes.
Bro, that's
So
wild.
what happened was
Yeah.
when I park, I just pull up the handbrake, but I
Yeah.
had it in neutral. And I'm supposed to park it in first gear or something like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
So I was getting ready to go, and because it was in neutral, I took the handbrake off. So the car just stood there, but it was in neutral.
Okay.
So that little gust of wind just rolled it
Dude,
down.
that's crazy.
Yeah.
That's
Needless to
crazy.
say, I had to call head office and say, "Hey, listen,
This is what happened?
this is what happened." And I spoke to the owner of the company, and
Yeah.
he's like, "You call the owner and you tell him,
Yeah.
and I'm not paying for any of this." So I had to come up with the cost, but thankfully, people on the team,
Yeah.
because of what we do, we had access to contractors that
Oh,
were able to
okay.
do repairs
Okay.
and painting and make it look brand new. When I told the owner,
Yeah.
this guy's laughing.
Yeah.
He was dying of laughter. And I'm like, oh, I'm so sorry. I can't believe this happened. And he's
Yeah.
literally just laughing on the phone.
Bro, that's too funny. But yeah, I had another situation where this was kind of wild. Existing tenant moved out. This was like a regular like double car garage, detached, single family home. But they did have the basement rented out and then the upstairs rented out. So I'd gotten the tenants for the upstairs, and the previous tenant was got or brought in by whoever, like the other realtor. Uh, we ended up renting the upstairs. They moved in for about a week, and then I get a call, and she's just like, "Hey, there's a lot of water." And I'm like, "What do you mean there's a lot of water?" And she's like, "So we ran the laundry
Yeah.
at like 10, 11 a.m. Uh, and it just flooded pretty. And the laundry, keep in mind, is on the second floor of this house. Went through the vents all the way through to the basement and started dripping out of. There was like this one drywall area or in the ceiling that was like a little square, and every corner just had water like gushing out. And the basement tenant calls me, and she's just like, "I don't know what just happened, but there's water everywhere." And I'm like, okay. It was like 7:45. Yeah, 7:45. Property's in Ajax. I'm like, okay, I'll be there in like 20 minutes. I get there, show up. They pretty much cleaned up all the water. And I'm like, what happened? And they're like, I guess the previous tenant moved the washer. And when they moved the washer, for some reason, they had the drain hose
Yeah.
an inch away from where it was supposed to be draining.
Ah.
So drain pipe is here and the drain hose is sitting right beside it. They ran it and it just went all the way through the vents, through the ceiling, through the basement ceiling, pretty much wrecked the house. I went to Home Depot, got 2 dehumidifiers. I'm like, hey, we got to run these. Once it's dry, I'll get the contractor in. We'll cut the ceiling open, see if there's any mold, and then at least patch it up or whatever it was. But needless to say, it was pretty wild for them only moving in for a week.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
That is brutal. That whole thing with tenants, it reminds me. So I started my career working in public housing.
Okay.
I mean, the biggest public housing provider. So I'm not going to say who,
Yeah,
but everyone
yeah.
knows who it is.
Yeah.
And I worked in the leasing department.
Okay.
And so high volume of leases that I dealt with. And at one point I was signing up. So, there's government programs. There was an initiative to house the homeless, right?
Yeah.
So I was signing a lease with a homeless woman
Okay.
who's schizophrenic and a drug addict. So
Okay.
schizophrenic drug addict, I was signing a lease with. Right?
Yeah.
So she comes to the office. She has her social worker with her.
Yeah.
And the type of schizophrenia she has, she will communicate with a stuffed animal, which is a little monkey. So she
Okay.
had this little monkey in her pocket, and she'd switch between communicating through herself and sometimes with the monkey.
My God. Okay.
And I'm just going with it. So, I'm just...
That's like demonic.
Yeah, exactly. So I'll be having a conversation looking at her in the
Yeah.
face, and then the monkey will start talking, and then I'll start talking to the monkey. We're having a blast.
Yeah.
I just got to get this lease signed. So whatever I have to do to get this lease signed, I'm doing it. So as I'm going through the lease, I can just see her getting a little more just uncomfortable.
Okay.
And I'm watching the body language, and it looks like her social worker is the one that's upsetting her. I don't know
Okay.
how that's
Yeah.
possible because I'm the random guy, and
Yeah.
she's cool with me, but she has a problem with her social worker.
Yeah.
So eventually I just asked the social worker to step outside and I'll handle the lease signing.
Okay.
So after she left, tensions were down, everything was cool. We got
Not
to-
talking to the monkey at this point.
I'm still
Yeah.
talking to that monkey.
You're still talking.
That monkey and I are
to the
homies. Don't get it twisted. It's my brother. But get the lease signed, and so after I leave, I give the lease to the worker, and then I go back upstairs.
Okay.
I literally within seconds, there's an alarm going off in the building. Someone
Oh my
pressed the panic button, and
Yeah.
I already knew what it was. So I just went back downstairs to see what was going on. And so the way the office was designed, it was this resource center, and there were these offices in the back.
Okay.
So everyone was gone. So everyone ran into the panic room.
Yeah.
And the lady, the schizophrenic lady, she was the one left just walking around huffing and puffing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, come with me. And so I brought her back into the same room that I had her in there. And I'm just like, what happened?
Yeah.
And she's like, I just didn't like her. I just didn't really trust her.
Oh my God.
And what I noticed was the worker was almost patronizing when
Yeah,
speaking
okay.
to this crazy person.
Yeah.
And I was just speaking to her like a normal person, her and her monkey. Like,
Yeah.
we're all homies. So
Yeah.
it is what it is. And for whatever reason, that approach just calmed
Calmed her down. Yeah.
So I'm sitting there with her trying to keep her calm because
Yeah.
clearly it hit the fan, right?
Yeah.
And so she's like, am I going to go to jail? I'm like, probably. You've assaulted people in public on camera.
Oh
You're
my God.
And so she liked that I was honest,
Yeah.
but even still, I'm basically just detaining her essentially until
Yeah.
the police
yeah.
arrive.
Until the police arrive.
It took the police an hour.
Oh
to
my
show up.
God.
So
Did they
I'm just-
consider it like non-emergency, even though she's like losing her mind?
Clearly, this is
God.
today they claim that they would deem that a mental health crisis.
Okay.
And so
okay.
it should be responded to in a timely manner. But this
Yeah.
was like over a decade
Yeah.
ago. So no one really took it seriously.
My
and
God.
the police show up. They open the door. They look. They see her. They see me.
Yeah.
And then they close the door. And they go. And they go
Like,
in.
you're on your own, buddy.
Yeah.
You're on
And,
your own.
they just interviewed all of the witnesses
Yeah.
and kept me there for like another half an hour. And
Oh
I'm
my God.
yeah, and again, I kept her cool, but like that could have gone.
Yeah.
That could have gone
Yeah.
crazy, but they just looked at me, looked at her, and they're like, "Yeah, he's
They're like,
probably
this
got
guy's got
yeah,
it
he's got it under control.
control.
We're good." And they took her.
Wow, that's insane.
Social
That's
housing.
insane.
It's fun.
But you know what? At least she told you the truth that she just didn't like her.
Yeah, exactly.
I've had tenants lie about like the craziest stuff. I got a call one day, and this property is probably 5 minutes from my house, and it's a bunch of students living there, international students, and they're like, "Hey, there's a lot of smoke," and I was just like, "Is there a fire?" Like, she's like, "I don't know." She's like, "There's just a lot of smoke. Can you please come?" And I was just like, "Hey, like, did you guys call the fire department?" She's like, "No." So I show up to the house. The front door swung open. There's a ton of like smoke coming out of that front door. Okay. And I see them like panicking, running around still inside the house. And I'm like, guys, like, step one, let's all get out of the house and then we'll figure it out. And I was like, where's the smoke coming from? And they're like, from the basement. And I was like, okay. And everyone just get out. I'm going to call the fire department and we'll figure it out. And that same morning, they'd called me and told me that the hot water tank was not working. So we already had, I think it was Reliance that was supposed to come and deal with the water tank. And I'm thinking, I don't know, maybe water dripped on the motor or something and it started a little fire. I don't know. So we call the fire department. 12 firefighters show up. Okay. So we have 3 fire trucks, the fire marshal with his SUV full of firefighters. They go inside the house. Everybody's out at this point. They're just chilling on the porch. Their eyes are all like bloodshot red from all the smoke. All these like students, and the firefighters go in. They're like, "Hey, we can't like figure it out." And then finally, one comes up to me and he pulls me to the side and he's just like, "Oh, you're the property manager?" I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "It looks like this was intentional." And I was just like, "What are you talking about, intentional?" And he's just like, he looks around. I don't know why he looked around. He looks around and he's like, "Come with me." And I'm walking into this like smoke-filled house. The smoke had kind of died down. They're like, there was no evidence of a fire. We just see a lot of smoke. He takes me downstairs. Under the wooden steps, he shows me that there's like black ash. And he's like, you can see water. So it looks like somebody started the fire and then tried to put it out. So they threw water on it, and whoever did it put the fire under wooden steps, so this whole house could have technically burned down. And we go outside, and I'm talking to the tenants, or he's talking to the tenants first, and he's just like, "Guys, like, what happened?" And there's I guess 6 of them or 8 of them or whatever, and they're all just quiet. And I'm like, I try stepping in, and I'm like, "Hey, like, we're trying to figure this out. Like, no one's in trouble, but if we don't know what happened, someone's gonna be in trouble." And one guy finally steps up and he's like, "I was doing my prayers and I had a candle lit and I thought I put the candle out and I threw it under the stairs. Like, I put the tray under the stairs, and then I went up and I sat down for breakfast, and then I see smoke coming out of the basement door." And then the firefighter just got pissed. He's like, "When I'm asking you a question, you answer me. You don't lie to me." And then anyway, they were like scared. I guess they thought they were gonna like get in a lot of trouble or whatever. But bruh, like, under wooden steps you put fire. Like, it makes no sense. They had to go through, I think, like a 3-hour fire safety course. Smoke alarms were all like, we changed them out anyway just to be on the safe side. But man, it was nuts. It was nuts.
I've got a good one. Okay. So I worked with a property management company where we took possession of a rental property.
Yeah.
So essentially, we worked with banks that repossessed properties
Okay.
if the mortgage wasn't paid, and the banks would hire us as property managers to manage the property.
Yeah.
This one had a tenant in it. Things were okay. Tenant was making payments. No issues. This is also located in Owen Sound.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
located in Owen Sound. So we don't have much access to the
Yeah,
property. So
yeah.
we're just, collecting rent essentially.
Okay.
And one month, the rent was paid by her boyfriend by way of a check.
Okay.
So we thought nothing of it. Money's money. So we
Yeah.
cashed the check. All is good.
Yeah.
A few months go by, and I'm just at my desk. Get this. There's this private number that's trying to call me. And I'm
Okay.
just like, what is going on? I'm not
Yeah.
answering this private number. And then eventually they kept calling, and so I answered
Yeah.
it. Hi, this is Constable XYZ from the OPP. Is this
Oh
one?
my god. What?
And I'm like, yes. How can I help you?
Yeah.
And he told me that that same property was just raided, and they broke into the property. They seized a copious amount of guns and
Oh
drugs.
my god.
Not only did they seize all of these guns and drugs, but
Yeah.
there was a trailer that was essentially hitched to the house,
Okay.
and they were running electricity from the house to the trailer, and that's where they were cooking their meth.
My
So
god.
classic Breaking Bad
Yeah,
scenario.
literally.
Yeah. And so they detain everybody, arrest everybody, etc.
Yeah.
And so he's essentially telling me that that individual that you accepted a check from is your tenant, because the second we accepted money from that person, we
Yeah.
created a tenancy.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Okay.
And that essentially made me have to go to court
Mm-hmm.
and testify as to how he became a tenant in this property,
Wow.
because that had to do with, you know, the specific charges that he was being charged with.
really.
And so I had to go to court and sit there and point him out,
Yeah.
and the whole nine. And I'm thinking, this is a drug dealer.
Oh, that's crazy.
He has guns. Why am I here? But I live to tell the other stories, so I think I'm okay.
That's nuts. I know you're talking about raids. I just had one pretty recently where I get a call. It was like Saturday morning, and tenant calls me, and I can tell her voice is like shaking. And I'm like, she's like, hey, I just needed to give you an incident number. I'm like, incident number for what? And she's just like, oh, just write this down. Incident number, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, all right, can you explain like what happened? And she's like, we went out partying last night. We had a friend of a friend who they were all hanging out. Everyone got super drunk. They got back to their place, and she's like, yeah, we're going to sleep the night. Or they all, I guess, crashed there. In the morning, some of them were awake, some of them weren't awake. That friend of a friend went to the car, and was just hanging out in the car. And the upper tenant was kind of also telling me what was going on, because he was loading his car, and he's like, yeah, he was sitting out in his car. Cops pulled up, and he darted back inside the house. It's a triplex, so he ran into the main floor, but he locked the main door on his way in, and he ran through the unit and around to the washroom and locked the washroom door. And she's like, the cops made everybody hands behind their head, guns pointed, and they broke the front door. They pulled the railing off out of the concrete.
Wow.
12 cops came inside to arrest this one guy. They broke into the washroom, and they took him out. And I was just like, this is like, you said Breaking Bad. This is like some next level. I don't even know.
Sounds like
but
The Wire.
yeah, and then I called the city after, or I called the whatever Durham Region Police, and I'm like, hey, like, this is what happened. Are you guys covering the damage, or are we? And he's like, he kind of laughed with me too, because we were both kind of laughing. He's like, buddy, it was like a raid. And he's like, we thought, so this was the part that I kind of got thrown off at. They thought he was breaking into that house, and he already had an outstanding warrant for him. So they added that to his charge, and then they thought because it was break and enter that they could also follow and, I guess, detain him.
Yeah.
Turns out they had invited him in, so it wasn't break and enter, but he did have a list of other charges, which he was obviously trying to run from.